It was the last beautiful weekend that summer would supply. Summer skies high in the mid-80s and not a cloud in sight. There was no way my friend John and I could let the weekend go to waste. We decided to head up to our favourite fishing spot, a lakeside cabin in a rural part of New York. No one around for miles to disturb us. It was the perfect place to crack open a few beers, talk about our lives, and catch a few fish. Friday came, and after work, I threw some stuff together and headed over to Johnny's to pick him up. The 5-hour drive seemed to fly by as we chinwagged, told our favourite jokes, and sang along to the radio. Next thing we knew, we were at the cabin, unloading for the weekend. The lake was beautiful, with the sun shimmering off the water, and the green, rolling hills in the distance. I grabbed my bag and headed toward the front door. As I approached the door, an uneasiness feeling set in, one that made my stomach turn. I quickly disregarded it, blaming it on the fact that I hadn't eaten yet. Looking back, I wish I'd trusted that feeling that something was wrong. After settling into our respective rooms and grilling up some hot dogs for a quick bite, we grabbed our gear and we were off to the small dock to do some fishing. Dusk was setting in and John and I had a front row seat to a magical sunset behind the towering hills that surrounded the lake. We sat there until dark, with nothing to show for our hour of fishing except a buzz from the few beers. We packed our fishing gear and headed back to the cabin. While making the trek down to the dock, that uneasy feeling took control again. Something felt off. I jokingly brought it up to Johnny, asking if he had felt the same way at all. Johnny laughed it off, saying, "I watched the Blair Witch Project too many times." Johnny's laughter quickly turned into silence, and suddenly my fishing buddy wasn't right by my side anymore. I looked back around to see him dead in his tracks, staring at the cabin. I followed his line of sight and saw at what made him stop. There was something, peeking out of the bedroom window. My bedroom window. Whatever was there was gone seconds after. We walked sluggishly towards the house, with our eyes wide as if it'll help us see better in the quickly darkening night. The door was cracked open. Johnny swung it the rest of the way as we both screamed, "Whoever's in here, show yourself!" Deafening silence followed. Luckily, knowing we'd both be in the woods, we decided to bring our shotguns in case of unwanted critters in or around the cabin. We both took a step inside. The creaking of the floor made our stomachs drop, not knowing what could be inside. The back door in which we entered immediately led into the kitchen. The shotguns rested against the wall a few feet from the door, and were finally in reach. A sudden rush of calm overtook my body, knowing I had a shotgun in hand. The calm was short-lived, as the door slammed shut down the hallway. Both Johnny and I felt braver with shotguns in hand. I screamed, "If anyone's in here, show yourself or you're going to get shot," and pumped my shotgun in hopes I'd scare him out. Another door slammed. Footsteps. Giggling. We were trembling in fear. Suddenly, silence. After waiting a few minutes, we decided the best option was to clear the house. Hallway, clear. Living room, clear. Johnny's bedroom, clear. My bedroom, clear. Bathroom, clear. Johnny and I stared at each other, wide-eyed. We locked all the doors, windows, and decided to both sleep in the living room, shotguns in arm's reach. Before falling asleep, we both pondered what it could be. Neither of us brought up a possible paranormal event. Not that we didn't think that's what it was, but because neither of us wanted to bring it up. We came to the conclusion that it had to be some kids who saw us coming into town and decided to play a prank. They probably made an easy escape out of the window. Looking back, I think we just wanted to make each other feel better. At 2:03 a.m, we were both awakened by a large crash. To our amazement, the front door was wide open. All the windows in the living room were smashed. We got up, shotguns in hand. The back door was open. All of the windows smashed in the kitchen as well. A scream was heard from the bathroom that ran down my spine. The front and back doors slammed shut simultaneously. Johnny and I had our guns up, ready to shoot, but had nothing to shoot at. Another scream. Another crash. As eerie as the silence was, we wanted it back. The footsteps were back. They were running right past us, but there was nothing there. I became frozen in my steps as I heard giggling right next to me, and a pull on my shirt as if a small child wanted my attention. Another crash. The ceiling fan had fallen down in the kitchen. Almost simultaneously with the crash, the lights went out. We made it to the hallway. We were on our way to the breaker when Johnny became pale white, almost glowing in the now dark cabin. My stomach dropped as I turned around. Standing in the middle of the hallway was a large figure staring us down. After a few seconds, the figure took a step forward. I lifted my gun and took a shot. The steel did nothing to the figure. Johnny lifted his and took a shot. Again, nothing. The shadowy figure then released a high-pitched scream, as if a woman was being tortured. One that'll stick with me to this day. The shadow seemed to gain in size, and the next thing we knew, we were face to face with it. It released another howl, loud enough to wake me up. I was still in the living room. Johnny was still asleep. I looked back at the clock to see it read 2:02 a.m. I reached for my shotgun and waited.